Hey guys, you're listening to the podcast, Here's the Dill.
With just a couple of pickles, Tiffany and Andrew Dill, as in Dill Pickles.
Okay. Hello, we're back to part 2 of the property hunt, and we are so excited. Wifey is super pissed right now. Go ahead, Wifey. Tell them why you're PO'd at me.
I'm not PO'd at you. I think you were in a little bit of a crazy mood before we started. That's all I have to say.
We sit down and she wants to go over the last episode, and it's like, look, I can tell you this, I don't buy movies. There's a reason I don't buy movies. You know why?
No, I don't.
If you watch the movie once, why do you need to watch it over and over again? What movie is that good to where you have to go over and repeat it?
Okay, just to be clear, I didn't want to listen to it. I wanted to review what we talked about so that our listeners are not confused.
Okay, so what podcast is that good where you're like, oh, I gotta say that one?
I'm saving you guys.
I gotta say that again.
Come on, get on my side here. I'm saving you.
How would we know if they're on my side or your side?
I don't know. I just think that they're
We're
on
doing
my
a
side.
Twitter poll. We don't care that much, honestly.
We're
welcome
lucky
back,
if you're
by the
even
way.
listening.
What episode is this?
This is number 6.
Episode number 6. And that's as far as my Spanish goes.
You would have never known that if you didn't review your last podcast.
You know what? I rely on you. You are the brains of this podcast, the know-it-all.
Okay.
Me, I'm just the brawn.
Okay. Well, thank you for letting me look over the last episode then.
The worst brawn ever. Hey, what do we need to talk about today? Since you looked over at last episode, what do we need to go?
I think that, we talked about being on the property hunt, and I think that was part 1 last time. Mm-hmm. This time is part 2. Anything we want to add to it, such as like things, when we think about the budget or what people should continue to think about before buying property. And
I don't think we need to add anything. I think we covered everything perfectly.
Oh, okay. That sounds like...
This is Contrary Tuesday for me. I'm very contrary today.
Well, it's funny. So I was just in there thinking how excited I was to have a date night with my husband, doing this podcast. We always think it does feel like a date night, don't you think?
It is an escape from reality.
Yes, it is.
But a good escape, I think.
Yeah.
It forces us to speak to one another, none other but that for 20 but I'm still hooked on phonics. Phonics. It forces us to speak to one another for a good 20 minutes at least.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And
do we
look
even
at
have
each
a phone
other in the
here?
eye without...
We do have a phone.
Without
Put
iPhones
your phone
in front
away.
of us. My phone's upside down.
Okay.
I can't see
All
it.
right.
Plus,
Whatever.
I have notes on it. Thank you.
Okay. Now you do that when we go to church. She gets while the sermon's going, she gets the phone out, and I'm thinking to myself, I feel like the preacher's going to stop the sermon and say, "Excuse me, miss, this is a very important subject that I'm going over. Please get off your phone." Actually, she's writing notes in her phone about the sermon. So, I think you need to have I don't know. You need to tell other people.
I need a sign.
I am
above
not
my
that
head.
weird. I'm not trying to text people while the sermon's going on.
Yeah.
Because I'm nervous. It makes me nervous. I don't even know why. It makes me nervous.
Well, and he also says sometimes get your Bibles out on your phone.
Yes.
So,
well, in that case, it's okay.
Yeah.
I get it. Because other people are on the phone. It's like, you can pretty much tell they're probably doing the Bible thing on their phone, right?
Yep.
But
Me.
when you do it and he hasn't mentioned getting the Bible out on your phone, then I'm a little nervous.
Yeah. I take really good notes. I'm a good note taker.
So
when I can hear, but if I don't hear, I'm not a good note taker.
Which is about 70% of the time. So let's see. Let's talk about some stuff. Let's talk about budget things. Would you like to talk about that?
But the exciting thing, this kind of goes into our podcast for tonight. The exciting thing that we have going on our property right now in the beginning of August, we are having our water drainage and backyard redone.
Woohoo! Yeah,
Yay!
baby. Pop the champagne. This is awesome. We need the ticker tape.
We are so excited. And the main thing is because we had mentioned the aftermath so many times, and We didn't have a lot of aftermath with the house per se. It was just mostly out exterior.
The house has yet to cave in. Although there are some times I think it might, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. But we are, so this is something that we want to share with you guys that, you know, when you are looking for property, you think about your grading, think about where the water is going.
Yes.
And when you hire, it's very important to think about hiring good landscapers. That was one of the mistakes we made. We felt like we should have stuck with the original landscapers that were in charge of our plan. They drew incredible plans for us. I mean, it looked like an oasis, but we were so scared that it was going to cost so much money. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that we wanted to talk about for sure tonight was the fact that, or today, whenever you're listening to this, but just the fact that there are areas you don't want to try to save money. And
so what are you saying? Go with somebody reputable? Is this what you're telling me?
I guess so, because when we did landscaping, we thought it was like pretty minor. We didn't think it was like a major thing, right?
Well, I mean, look, landscaping is not a thing where we grew up.
Yeah,
if you had plants, it's because you went and bought them at Lowe's and put them in your yard yourself. Where we are, the municipality that we live in, it's a big thing. I mean, you know, a huge deal. We could not get signed off on this house until they counted every plant.
Yep.
They had to know the genus and species of every plant. They wanted to know the color.
The size of it.
And they wanted to know what was the color of your last stool sample. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, and it had to be up to par to your drawing. So, like, that was one of the things that we even ran into with our house. There was, like, we were missing corbels on our front porch.
They were counting...
Whoopsie-doo.
They were counting bushes. They were counting antelope. I don't know. They were counting all sorts of things and making sure that it matched on those plans. Even though we had the house looked good, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we had these corbels like you were talking about. The corbels were probably, what, 1.5 feet, maybe? They were just like small details on these.
It was like on the
front porch.
Cedar post or whatever.
On the cedar post, yeah.
And we were like, what?
Yep.
So then.
Oh, you know what got us too? What was killing me? Is they had drawn, and now this is just the guy who draws stuff for the house. I would call that the architect. The architect had drawn windows on our garage doors, and the garage doors didn't have windows, and that threw them for a loop. They thought they were at the wrong house.
Oh my gosh!
When they were inspecting,
I forgot about that.
Oh my gosh! Someone,
Yes, people. It was. I mean, it's crazy. Like, we're from Kentucky. We're from where we do everything ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we come here and, like, apparently you have to hire everybody and have to have permits for every single thing that you do. And then if your plans and everything in the end do not match verbatim with your plans that are drawn, then you don't pass. Sorry.
Yep.
See you later. Gonna have to come back.
Peace out. Now you got to pay extra for us to come back out.
Yep. And don't forget that part.
Hey, let's go back to the landscaping stuff.
Yes.
Because you know me, I've got ADD. Mm-hmm. And my brain goes like 1,000,000 miles a minute, and then it switches directions.
Yes, it does.
So
pretty common.
When we talk about trying to find a good landscape company, I ask around, find somebody that's reputable, find somebody that knows your area, and find somebody that knows the municipality really well, so that if you do have to get these things approved, it's easy peasy for you.
Yeah.
That was one of our biggest issues. The other thing that I want to talk... Did you want to say something? You look like you wanted to say something.
Well, I was just about to say the architect. So we had talked about our architect, Lauren Strutman, last time, and I put a link to her webpage in the resource part. But I just want people to know that the architect can refer you to a good landscaper because they usually kind of work well together. But she recommended us the landscape architect. So there is such thing as a landscape architect. And depending on where you live, they have to be a certified architect.
Yes.
Like for us, they had to be certified. So in the end, when we switched over to a different company, it was a little bit complicated. So, and we thought we were saving money, but it didn't save us any money.
That's good information.
So, yeah. So what was your next point?
I've got some other stuff in my head that just, I feel so smart thinking about it. When you evaluate land, look at it and decide, think about, is it going to need retaining walls? And this is the reason why. Because if it does need a lot of retaining walls, those are very expensive. And also the grading as far as water flow from your neighbors.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
So.
If you were listening.
I didn't go over the last episode like nerd Nancy over here.
No, that wasn't from the last episode. That was from this episode. I just said it.
Who said I was listening?
Your brain is going a million miles
I
a
set
minute.
these headphones on, and it looks like I'm listening, but I don't know if I actually am.
No, you're distracted. Last time you were distracted by Miley's, but anyway.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Now, you had to mention it, didn't you? You had to mention the Miley's. By the way, Miley's was phenomenal. You know, one thing about Miley's that I've learned, don't stray away from your faves, though. Because I have my faves at Miley's, and every once in a while, I try to get all fancy with it and say, no, I'm going to get something Thai, original, blah, 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 blah. Not so much. Didn't happen. I mean, I was going to say I was disappointed, but I really would have liked the sweet and sour chicken, just saying.
Yeah, but well, let's say you're still on your low carb diet, so that's the reason why you did not get it. So
yes,
that was
on the low carb.
Yeah.
If I turn sideways, you can't see me. That's how skin. No, I lost a few pounds. The low carb thing was good for me. Yeah. It is. Most people say when they go on a diet, they're just fed up. That's the reason they're going on that. I'm just fed up. I've been eating crappy. This is not a diet for me. This is a lifestyle. Well, folks, I got to tell you, this is definitely a diet for me. I am not staying on this thing forever. I cannot stand it. It drives me crazy. If I just look at one cookie, I get the puppy dog eyes, I'm like, just please. Just one bite.
What's that cat, the Puss in Boots?
Yes.
The eyes. Oh my gosh. Yep, so he has those eyes. He looked at me last night when I was eating my dairy-free ice cream. He was like,
say, you get that stuff out of here.
Just could have a bite of that.
I think to myself, I just want some candy. The other day, I wanted something.
Oh, yeah, you wanted sugar-free candy.
I wanted something put in my mouth. I don't care if it's a gummy bear or whatever. And my infinite wisdom, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I went to Walgreens, and they have sugar-free stuff for people that are diabetic, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking to myself, how in the world can that have any carbohydrates? So I drive over there. I look at every one of those, at least 25, 30 grams of carbohydrates. How is that possible? There's no sugar in them. They still had carbohydrates in them.
Well, it has sugar alcohols, but I didn't think that counted.
Well, it's a big math issue. Because if you're on the low carb, then you take the sugar alcohol, you divide it by 2, and then you subtract it from the blah, blah, blah.
Boring. All right, back to the subject here.
Next.
All right, so back to landscaping. Like we said, consider your elevation when you are looking at your property or looking for a piece of property. I do want to direct you to a good podcast I listened to, and I actually interviewed on this podcast not long ago.
Don't direct them over there, because if let's say they got 40 minutes, they're going to go to the better podcast and not listen to our podcast.
Well, you know what? We are real talk here. That's pretty much a contractor talking about finding a property, and that's pretty helpful.
Fake talk? Right. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I listened to it. It was great information. It's through Hibbs Homes. I will put the link on the resources underneath our link for our podcast on YouTube. And it's a great thing to listen to because they actually talk about a lot of things that we're talking about, but we kind of go into it more from a consumer perspective. So you have to consider that when you're listening to what we're talking about. So we are not the experts at everything. We just want to share information that we wish we learned about everything.
I feel kind of experty.
Yeah, nerd alert.
I feel experty because I went through this Hades of building a house.
Yeah.
And we were really hands-on, too. I mean,
Yes, and that's the other thing. When you are building a house, looking for property, make sure you're really involved. Eventually, we're going to have someone we're going to interview someone about finding a contractor, too, because sometimes people can get lost in that. It can get overwhelming because there's so many contractors out there. You want to find one you can trust and that kind of thing, but that's a whole nother subject. But we're going to stick with the property for today's episode and talk a little bit about, maybe we'll throw in a little bit about the budgeting and consider the budget whenever you're looking at landscaping and thinking about elevation changes and a retaining wall.
I like where you're going with this budget issue. What were some things that we started building this house just totally blew up our budget? Just kind of,
Well, we already mentioned one.
The landscaping's one of them, absolutely.
Well,
those retaining walls are killer. They killed me. And
Well,
the rock underneath the foundation.
Yeah, the retaining walls wasn't the killer, though. What was the killer was really the aftermath of not knowing about. Well, we actually tried to. I'm gonna put it nicely. We actually tried to point out that we needed some drainage and stuff, and so because your architect, when they do the drawing, they kind of know that your elevations are changing. They even have the numbers on your plan, like of the elevation changes, and they'll usually tell you, okay, you've got a retaining wall. Don't put your pool up against the retaining wall. They did tell us that because they said everything will flow over into the pool and dirty up your pool, and then you've got maintenance to go with that.
Water's killer.
So then, when we were building our wall, we had informed them or asked if they had drains behind the wall. They said they did, but they weren't the correct type of drainage that we needed. But when we go back to the city to get everything, we had to hire people all over again, the engineer, civil engineer, the same guy that did it the first time. And that cost money. But the cool part is, people, when you're budgeting and when you want to save money, look for funding, look for some grant, look for some deals. And that's what we did. And in fact, I didn't even look for it. I just happened to see it in our newsletter. And our municipality actually has a water drainage grant. So that actually helped us out quite a bit with all of that.
It's a good story.
It's not a story. I'm just sharing information.
No. You're fine, baby. But let me kind of put it, just tell it what happened is we had in the plans for water to be drained correctly. They did not landscape and they didn't have the drainage correctly done. And so because of that, a lot of water was ending up in our backyard. It made the backyard unusable. A lot of the water was being pumped on a large tree that was over 100 years old that ended up dying. So now we're cutting that down. So it can be a disaster. How about that? That's your meat and potatoes. That's me. Totally meat and potatoes.
Yeah, and I'm just, we're here to be positive on our podcast. We've had a lot of frustration with it, and that's understandable. People will have frustrations with it. And so, but I think the moral of the story is, when you hire landscapers that know about water drainage, that know about, if you're going to put a pool in the back, they know about the pool, they know about where everything should be and where everything should flow. I think that's the point. Basically, the guys did a great job planting, and that's the thing. That's the other thing we learned that we need to mention. We learned not to go with the jack of all trades.
I think we mentioned that.
We did?
That was episode 3, baby. Did you not listen to that?
Oh.
Beforehand, I'd listened to
pants.
all the episodes.
No.
It was episode 3. If you go into, I think, 17 minutes and 14 seconds, it was right there.
Oh, okay. That's pretty precise. I'll be sure to go back and listen to that one.
That goes without saying. Do not, yeah. And that's a whole nother issue with our locks and stuff like that. We'll get into that. Oh my goodness, this chair is hurting my booty. We need another office chair.
You definitely have.
You hear all this popping noises?
ADHD.
What is this going on? This is a brand new chair. Should this pop like this? Okay. It looks nice. It's black and gold, but it's not comfortable. Just throwing it out there.
Well, we got a deal on it, so
we did
get over it.
Deal.
And had to spend a lot of money on it.
There were some other things that kind of broke our budget, and we can go revisit them later on.
Yeah,
when we talk about
revisit
each trade,
a lot of these points again. Sure. I think the moral of the story for this is just go with someone you trust, go with someone that knows what they're doing, and don't. If someone says that they can do multiple things, you may not want them to do all of those things. You want them to do what they're best at, and so if our landscapers, they were great at building our wall. In fact, we get so many compliments on our wall, our retaining wall, I should say.
That's true.
And our retaining wall are these huge boulders, and the boulders, it just makes it look so beautiful in the back, and it adds exactly what we needed for that.
That also goes with the architect, because I know some guys that were adding on to their house, and the builder comes in and it's like, oh, yeah, I can draw you something up. It's like, whoa, wait a second. Mm-hmm. It's probably best spend a little bit of money on a good architect first. Yes. That way, you know that things are going to line up and look good as far as for the outside elevations. And then you're not sorry that you went with some guy that had, drew blocks on some square paper or whatever.
Yep. And I usually tell people that too. When you pick an architect for your home, just have them draw your home. They don't have to draw. They may sketch in a few little plants here and there just to show you visuals, but then they're going to direct you to a landscape architect. And those are going to be the experts for your elevations and how they run the water and all that kind of stuff.
So I guess what we're saying is spend some money up front to get a good game plan together. Don't use jacks of all trades. You know what they say, master none.
Yeah.
And it's true because, these things, you want somebody that does this day in and day out, could do it blindfolded with their shoe. You do not want one guy in there building your dream home that is scratching his head, looking at the front of it and looking at the paper and ask, well, that don't line up. There's a reason, you know?
So. You got that right.
Oh, you're a hot mess. Go Blues. What's
going on? Why we have fun.
Huh. When you talk about... I got an awesome purchase.
Yes. Okay, so speaking of budget, we are the Dill Finders.
That's me.
DILL.
Boom goes the dynamite.
The Dill Pickle Finders.
Dill Pickle Finders. And I found an awesome deal on a karaoke machine.
Oh, man. I didn't think you were going to bring that up. I thought you were going to bring up the TV. Oh, my gosh.
Oh. Well, I've been buying a lot lately.
So you can tell who the spender is here. The
machine has the little wee. It's got the DJ things. It's got the turntable in with it. You can change your voice. It is awesome, baby.
Oh,
you know
gravy.
That is awesome. I'm going to get that out. Anytime anybody comes over, I don't care if it could be the mailman. I'm getting that thing out. We're going to sing a duet.
Okay. Well, let's just say I was running on the treadmill earlier today and I come upstairs and I hear all this racket.
I want it my
And then
way.
Poor Lincoln,
Something
our
like
dog, he was laying on the ground and his tail was going with the beat. It was actually pretty funny.
I know. Every time I try to give him a microphone, he just licks it. He's no good for a duet, I can tell you that.
That's
what else
a good
did we
sound
find?
Effect.
So we were driving home from church the other day.
You were. I was out of town. This is what happens when I'm out of town.
I look over to the right and I see a building. It says Best Buy Outlet. And boom, I am an outlet sucker. I am right there. I didn't even know what the word, and they play hard and fast with the word outlet nowadays because it's on everything. But I went over there.
And sometimes you can get fooled. It's not really an outlet, so you better watch out.
True. Tell him, baby.
We learned that. Yep,
Girl,
I learned that one.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, I go over there and I Best Buy Outlet. Did I say it was Best Buy Outlet? Did I say that? Mm-hmm. Okay, it says Best Buy Outlet. And I walk in, tons of washers and dryers, tons of just cool appliances that's fairly new, and tons of TVs. And just so happened, I needed this TV, baby. I needed a TV to go into one of the guest
Glad
bedrooms.
you got that out of the way.
And also a TV that I could walk around and put outside when I need one outside. Because we watch TV outside. It's freaking awesome. Anyway, so...
We did so good for 10 years with just having one TV.
Honey, if we didn't have any more TVs, we would be forced to converse with one another more often.
Aww, I like it. Well, this is why we have the podcast.
True.
Thank you.
So I got the TV, and it was also a TV that I'd had before, and so I had the old mounting hardware that they didn't have there. That's the reason it was on sale. 40-inch Samsung, 200 bones. That's it. That's not a bad deal.
How much was it?
$200.
No, but how much full price?
Oh, I don't know.
That's
$2.15. No, I have no idea.
Well, then how do you know it was a good deal?
Because it had 4K, it had, it was a 700 series, and you can sync it with your Apple AirPlay. Boom.
Well,
done and done.
If anybody needs any electronic advice, you know who to go to.
That's another fun episode.
We will actually have a Black Friday episode, so be watching out for that because this guy over here knows his stuff.
I'm going to go through the Black Friday deals, and then you guys will not have to look at any news whatsoever. It'll be 30 minutes, boom, boom, boom. Your brain will explode.
Tell you where to go. Yeah. Yep, especially if you're building a house. He can direct you to where to get the TVs and the appliances.
Where to get all the smoke alarms. What's that big dinging noise?
The smoke alarm. That's a whole nother episode.
Was that your dinging phone?
I don't know.
That's
don't
the
know how
phone
to
you said
turn
you
the
didn't.
thing
Oh,
off.
my lands.
Oh, my friend Kathy.
Life.
Hello, Kathy.
Hello, Kathy. All right. So are we done today? 25 minutes. That seems short. Should we sing something?
Good. No.
No?
You can.
What do you want to sing?
I don't sing.
La 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 la. That's good.
Here we go.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Thanks for listening to... What? What were we going to say?
You just totally blew me off. I was like, all right, see you later, guys.
What were you going to go?
Night's over.
No, by all means. Mike's all yours.
Okay. Well, I guess we are done.
Are you kidding me? I never in my life.
Well, I do want to bring up, in our future episodes, we are going to continue talking about deal finders. Because
That's
we do...
the name of the podcast. They don't tune into the podcast to hear about how to do laundry.
I'm kidding. Okay, I had coffee. Sorry, I'm a little peppy.
Are we good?
Yes, so we will talk about some deals. This was part 2, so should we have a part 3 next time, or should we have
I don't know if anybody could stand a part 3. I mean, that would be... Well, I mean, we'll cover it.
Yeah,
we'll cover it.
we'll
We'll
play it
figure
by
something
ear.
out. Yep. All right. Peace
All
out.
right, see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.